or something. I don't know what else. I ended up going and having these night terrors, and I distinctly remember one night I went to bed, and then I had a night terror, and I went through it was just a holy terrible night. Just, it was like the worst night you could, it's like a battle to get through the night. And I just remember the next day I woke up and I had this, what I have now. I don't think I have it so much now as I used to, but I basically had that distant depersonalization disorder kind of feeling where I was kind of operating my body instead of being in my body, kind of. I guess that's a good description of it. So it's like you feel distant from the world, like you're not really in it no more. Like your soul is, you have a soul, but it's operating. No, it's the operator over the body. I feel like it's me operating the body. I don't feel like I'm demon possessed or anything. I just feel like it's distant somehow. And of course, there's not some demon operating me, because I am willfully acting out and doing the things I do, the things that I think of. So a lot of people on YouTube seem to have all these answers for this disorder, but they always say it feels like somebody else is operating. I don't have it like that, but I have it in a weird way because it seems like I've had it for longer than them. So I don't know what that's all about. But I believe that that's when I first got into this, or I got this. It wasn't because my parents were witches or any kind of occult, mental, whatever. It's not like satanic mind control or something where people break you like the Nazis did, or MK Ultra, any kind of strange thing like that. It's not some occult abuse or whatever that separated me or broke me. It's not like the movie The Winter Soldier, where the guy is being traumatized into submission and turning into a mind control slave to someone else. It's not like that. It is a thing where if you do have enough trauma, your mind gets separated somewhat from your body, or it kind of breaks you or something. I don't know. I just know that night terrors for so long will break you. I think that's what this is. And my parents didn't do the night terrors. In fact, they were there for me, trying to help me through the things. I would wake up my mom's closet. My mom would be helping me out of the closet because I'd wet my pants and I was hiding in the closet. It was terrible. It was just the worst. So I don't know what that was all about. But anyway, so I ended up moving on, and I finally got through it. And then at the very end, I think I told this story before too, at the very end of the night terrors, I had this moment where the night terrors just went away, and I basically met Jesus. And I seen Jesus. It's like the picture, there's a picture out there of children, gathered in like a garden, and Jesus is sitting there, and the kids are there with Jesus, and it's like everything's okay and this wonderful feeling. Well, that's kind of how these night terrors went away. It's like Jesus came in and rescued me from my night terrors. And it was like this peace, the peace that I got from that is really indescribable. I mean, there's no way to explain what it's like to be with Jesus, I guess. I don't know what it is. It's just, there's even a smell, like a sweet, like lilac, I don't know, flowery kind of, this wonderful, summery scent in the air even that I had, even from being there. I don't know if it was a vision, dream, I don't know what it was. But I just know that I was there with Jesus and everything was okay. And that broke, I guess, the spell of whatever it was, the night terrors that was coming over me. Whatever was bothering me or what was going on, it stopped. But I still had this depersonalization disorder, I guess. I didn't call it that at the time because I didn't know about the name until recently when I finally figured it out. But it's basically this disorder, and I don't call it as, I'm not trying to make it sound like I got some special, I'm special because I got a special name for what I got, like some of these kids in school nowadays. But, it is something that I have to think about, because now that I know about it, now I need to find my way through this. So I'm just telling you, because if there's somebody out there that's listening that has this, you're not alone. You're not alone. And if you're a Christian, you're not going to hell because you feel separated from your body, or Satan has somehow beat you in some battle or whatever. It's not like that. You can get through this. If I've lived many years and I've come to know Jesus, I don't think that you're damned. I don't think that you've committed a sin or anything that's going to lead you into hell. I mean, as long as you believe in Jesus and he died for you, and you repent of your sins all the time that you will continue, that you commit or whatever, you're doing anything against him, you got to have a sorrowful heart and come to him. But the point is it's just, I'm trying to help somebody out there with this, because I don't know. I know it sucks for me, because honestly I don't have anyone to talk to really about this. I mean, my wife can't really relate because she doesn't have this. She doesn't know what I mean. And I just know that if there's someone out there, I know I would have wanted to hear somebody that was a Christian. In fact, that's what I'm looking for right now, is I'm looking for a Christian who's out there who might be dealing with this. Because if you know how to cure this or help a person out to get out of it, you need to get in contact with me, please. Because if other people have this, I haven't seen any Christians that are talking about curing this. So anyway, that's kind of what I'm doing this for. And I think I'm going through this all messed up, but it's fresh in my mind. I need to talk about it. So later in life, I had a concussion from a bicycle accident where I basically hit a mailbox with my head on a bike, because I thought I heard somebody say something behind me. And the mailbox basically flipped all the way around and hit me in the back of the head, knocked me down. And then I lost memory because of this. And then I was knocked out, of course. And then somehow I found my way back home. I was laying on the couch, and I literally could look in my hand, and I could see literally like Freddy Krueger, five like cuts into where my bones are, from my knuckles going down, and I could see the internal bones in my hand working. I could literally move my hand and watch my bones. But I ended up going to the doctor and all this stuff. My parents got home and found me. Of course, I had a concussion and I fell asleep or whatever, which is weird. I don't know how whatever. But I went to the doctor and everything, and then it basically, I think from that point on, I was back into this. If I was losing it from my childhood, I think it came back at that point. So moving on from there into high school, I ended up having learning disabilities, which I always kind of had throughout my life, and I was picked on for it or whatever. And I think now, looking back on this, since I figured out what this thing is, I think that could have been part of the learning disability. And it also is kind of like, because you're so distant, and I think it was actually a good thing for me, because I became an artist in high school and actually excelled in art and creative stuff around that time, because I was so distant from people. So I kind of threw myself into my room and kind of just started creating. So it's like I just didn't know what to do in life, so I just became extra creative, which I was always kind of creative anyway. So I just turned into an introvert at that point, but I still had that distant feeling from myself. I still look through my eyes like I'm looking through two camera lenses or whatever. And the world is really kind of like, it's not real at this point. And then I was just doing my thing, and I kind of stayed away from everybody. I didn't go to parties. I didn't go get high. I didn't do drugs. I know a lot of people like to say, that they had experiences in high school with drugs and peer pressure and all that. Well, since I was so far away from all the peer pressure, because I wasn't hanging out with anyone really, I just basically missed all that, so I didn't have to worry about, the drugs and all that stuff. And plus, I was a little smarter than I think half the kids. I'm not saying I'm smarter, but I didn't feel like I wanted to join and do something stupid with my life. I mean, I wasn't the smartest guy in the world, obviously, because I had a learning disability, but I recognized from the stuff that I've gone through in my life before that, I don't really need to deal with drugs or anything like that. So it was very rare when I finally did get into like drinking or whatever and smoking cigarettes. It was basically when I was 16. And then I wasn't like crazy about it either, and I didn't really do it. But I did have a friend that I kind of hung out with every now and then that ended up getting me into that stuff or whatever. But I think that the disassociative kind of part of it, where you're just separated from everything, you're distant, you're just. I think that made me not have any friends basically in a lot of ways. Although I did joke around and have a lot more fun back then, I was kind of more, I was okay with pretty much hanging out with people or just whatever, but I just didn't have a lot of friends to do that with and didn't really seem to care, I guess. Well, anyway, nowadays, for me, when I'm dealing with this kind of situation, it's not always there. It's like it comes and it goes, kind of. It's in the last few years, it's been more or less like I have trouble conveying emotion, I guess. Like I'm not emotional. I'm kind of like a robot in a sense. And I always have to kind of make myself feel, a little bit. Although I do have feelings, there's times when that comes out, I guess. And this is what I imagine a lot of other people are dealing with if they have this. So I'm kind of like trying to like express my symptoms so that maybe someone can kind of get an idea of what maybe if they have this same kind of issue. I don't know. I'm going to be perfectly honest here. My emotions really, like I'll be watching a movie sometimes, because I watch a lot of movies, I'll admit it. And I'll like watch like a movie that's kind of, it's got certain moments in it or whatever that are kind of emotional. And in the past, I have caught myself in the theater. I'll be watching a movie, and there'll be a moment that seems, really kind of emotional. It's like all my emotions will suddenly come back at once, and I'll start tearing up, and I'll actually start like trying to quiet myself, and I'm like, oh, because when emotions come back to me or whatever, it's like when they all of a sudden come back, it's like I get to be a mess. And as a man, it's kind of a pain in the butt to explain this because it's really embarrassing for a guy. But you get really teary, and I don't know. I kind of it looks just turn into a mess, like just nose running, crying, basically bawling. It's like I always relate it to the part where on Schindler's List, if you ever saw that movie. At the very end, it's that I can't watch that movie. I'm sure there's a lot of people that deal with that though, but I can't watch that movie because at the end it's so sad to me. I just start bawling. I can't even control myself. I just start crying because he's talking about how if I would have just sold this ring, I could have bought more people and saved their lives. If I could have just got rid of this car, what was I thinking? And he's just breaking down, and all the people he saved are right there, and it's just this big emotional thing. It's just, yeah. I mean, maybe that's just perfectly normal. I mean, it's like watching the Passion of Christ, and you're going to cry if you have any heart. But I don't get that, and a lot of times, so it's like I have to have this over-the-top emotional thing to happen to get my emotions to come back, like, to come into effect. Like me and my wife, I'll be talking to her, and it's like I don't. I get caught up in what I'm doing so much because I'm a person who thinks I'm like always thinking, well, if I can't manage emotions or whatever, I think I'll just focus on working on something and staying busy all the time. So I get too many projects going, like with this podcast. I'll do the podcast. I'll be thinking about, okay, how am I going to do that? What should I convey in the message? What should I do? And then I'll be thinking, later on that night, I'll be like trying to work on some music for my album or whatever. And I'll be thinking of all these things, and I'd be trying to write a story or trying to create a story in my mind because I visually can see the stuff like a movie, so I'm trying to create that too sometimes, and it's like I'm putting together, it's like I'm always like 3 steps ahead trying to make something. And lately, like right now, I've been working on the house, trying to build this big giant room into like basically a giant closet type of room for my wife. So I'm thinking of that, trying to work on that. It's like all these things. I can't